back to Fuji, guys. I'm Greg.
And I'm Billy.
Today's video is the top features on our new W1 3D camera. And before I start getting into some of the top features, Billy, I like to reminisce about photography every once in a while. I just want to mention that 3D photography has been around as long as photography has been around unto itself. And using two lenses on a camera is not something new. We're just really trying to replicate what the human eyes see, and the reason we can see 3D is that our cameras are constantly looking at things from two different angles. And it's kind of the same way with a 3D camera. So I just want to mention firstly that a 3D camera is not a new thing. This is, however, the world's first 3D digital camera, which makes it quite special. And the fact that it's relatively small and portable is also what makes it special. And for the fact that when you're viewing pictures on its screen or on the LCD that you're not using any kind of glasses or any kind of viewers. You're simply looking at this with your naked eye and seeing the 3D effect. It's amazing technology. So I just wanted to mention that at the beginning. I also want to say, and this is covered a lot more extensively in the manual, as far as the do's and don'ts. To get the 3D effect, it depends a lot on the subject you choose, the type of lighting you're in, and other various factors like that, and contrast levels, etc. So if you are using the 3D camera and you are trying to get the best 3D effects, please do read through the manual about the best subjects and the not so good subjects to shoot in 3D. Right out of the gate, for example, you cannot shoot any 3D cameras as a vertical picture because our eyes are in a horizontal position, and what we're trying to do is replicate the 3D experience of seeing 3D like this. So but there's several other types of scenes that you should try to avoid, and there's several types of scenes that are optimized to get that 3D effect and really impress and have those impressive 3D images. So with that preamble, let me get on to the 3D shooting modes and how this camera works in the 3D mode. First of all, when you turn the camera on by simply sliding this cover over, and when you buy the camera out of the box, it's in what we call the auto 3D mode. And that is basically just like a completely automatic camera. I'm going to point and shoot the camera, and when I do shoot the camera, provided I have the right type of subject matter, I can play that image back, and right on the back of the screen I'm going to see a nice 3D image. So it's, as the mode implies, it's an auto 3D mode. It's shooting 3D pictures, but everything is completely automatic. If you need the flash, it goes off. If you don't need the flash, it won't go off. You can override in certain areas like the flash and things like that, but otherwise it's an automatic mode. There is another mode called Advanced 3D, and I'm going to switch it to the mode on this camera by hitting the mode dial on the left, and I'm just going to scroll down to the very last setting on the bottom there. I'm going to press OK, and now this camera is in the Advanced 3D mode. And when I'm in that Advanced 3D mode, I'm going to have basically two choices. Basically, I'm going to have an interval 3D shooting or an individual shutter 3D shooting. And in both of these advanced modes, it's going to take two separate pictures, as opposed to the auto 3D where it's shooting two at once. And basically, this is a special advanced 3D mode that you're going to want to use when you go beyond the camera's optimum conditions for 3D. For example, when I get close to a subject, well, my eyes, they'll adjust in closer for the parallax. But because these lenses are still at the fixed distance, when I get close to a subject, I start to see a lot of overlapping and ghosting in the 3D image. So in the advanced 3D shooting, I can actually shoot two separate pictures from two slightly different angles of that close-up and still get a really good 3D mode.
Now, the great thing about that feature as well is that, when you do take that second picture, it gives you an overlay of the first shot so that you have the ability to frame the picture properly.
Yeah. So the advanced 3D mode, it's a little tricky. You need to read the manual and you need to play around with it a little bit, but you can get some fabulous results and effects of 3D close-ups in that advanced 3D mode. So Billy, tell us about the fact that this camera can be used as a regular 2D digital camera, And basically, and there's also some special 2D modes. So tell us about
Well,
those.
absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, this is actually a digital camera, and though it is 3D, and a lot of cool things happen in 3D, you can actually just push this one button in the back, and now you're shooting in the 2D mode. And basically, it's like any other digital camera. You can do things like, zooming in the 3-time optical zoom that's built onto the camera. You can do videos in 2D, just like any other digital camera. But what's unique about having two different lenses on this style camera is that, unlike a standard digital camera, you can almost take two different pictures at two different angles, where you can zoom in on one lens and shoot one image at a wide angle setting with one click of the button. And that's
So one picture, you're getting a nice close-up of your kid, but the other picture might be like the kid with all the surroundings
That's
around
right,
them.
and it's exactly the same time. So it's not like 2 seconds later. It's the same time you push the button. Both pictures are captured.
Neat.
So it's cool to have. There's also a mode where you can actually do two colors simultaneously as well. So you can shoot one in black and white, and you can shoot one in color as well. And later on, you can decide which one you want to keep.
Neat.
Great for someone who just wants to do black and white and goes to a lab to get it printed. You can shoot two different sensitivities. So one at a slow shutter, at a low sensitivity, and one at a very high sensitivity. And so that if you have an action shot, you can freeze one and show a motion blur with the second shot.
Gotcha.
So cooler effects shooting in 2D. There's also a manual feature. You can control things like aperture and shutter controls. And on top of that, like any other digital camera, there's scene modes as well. So you got things like portrait, landscape, night, and whatnot. And I talked about earlier, there's an infrared port that allows you to transfer between the frames. So although it's a 3D camera, you can also do 2D.
Some cool 2D stuff.
One thing that Greg didn't mention earlier as well is that in 3D mode, you can also do the 3D videos.
That's right.
And it's really cool. Stereo sound as well as 3D images. Of course, playable only on the back of the camera, on the picture frame, or have prints done in 3D.
Okay, and I'll just tell you quickly a little bit about when you do have some 3D pictures and you like the way they turned out and you wanted to get those printed, there is only one place to go, and of course that happens to be Fuji. And in fact, as we speak today, the only place that they are printing these special 3D prints is actually in Tokyo. We hope that someday that as this technology develops, there will be printers available in Canada as well. But right now, you upload your pictures through a special site and pay to get these either 4x6 or 5x7. But it's hard to see the effect of these prints on the video. But I can tell you in real life, and I think Billy, you'll agree with me, you really can see that 3D effect. So it's not very hard for us to imagine that people will have 3D portraits of their families around their house instead of just regular pictures in the future. So that wraps up, I guess, what I've got to say about the 3D camera. Anything else you need to add, Billy, quickly?
Again, it's a cool looking camera. It's hard to show you because they're looking at 2D, so you have to see it in person. So if you want to visit, some of the few retailers that we do sell the 3D camera with, come into the stores, have a quick look at it.
Excellent. Another first of its kind by Fujifilm. Thank you for joining us. I'm Greg.
And I'm Billy.
Together with the Fuji guys.
Fuji guys.
All right, see ya.